Imagine your utility bill being higher than your mortgage. For thousands of people in West Virginia, that's not a nightmare, it's reality. Today, we're watching folks grapple with the crushing cost of electricity and trying to figure out who's to blame for a system that's bleeding them dry. Welcome back to Mind Mirror. Let's get into it.
Some families in Southwest Virginia are literally having to choose between medicine, groceries, or paying their electric bill. And Delegate Terry Kilgore wants you to believe he's swooping in to save the day. He co-sponsored the Rate Reduction Act, which is supposed to reduce your electric bill. And by the way he talks, you'd think your bill is getting slashed in half. But let's take a look at what the bill actually does. So it bans rate hikes just in the winter months, so only till March of 2026. And it temporarily does not charge you late fees or reconnect fees, which can help some families, but your actual bill still not going down. It's just being delayed, disguised, and dressed up with fancy words. Oh, and the AEP Accountability Act, the bill that would have allowed customers to choose a different electric company if their bills were too high, didn't pass. Yep, dead on arrival. And I'm just wondering why. Well, AEP has donated $83,000 to Terry Kilgore. AEP also gave $50,000 to the Appalachian School of Law, which, surprise, also donates to Terry Kilgore. But it doesn't stop there. AEP now wants to build nuclear reactors. You know who's going to help fund that infrastructure over the next decade? The same customers who are paying $900 a month on their electricity bill. So Terry, if electric bills are too high, why are you blocking competition, voting for rates to go up in 2026, and backing a utility company that's funneling money into your campaign? You can't claim that you're fighting for the residents of Virginia when you're funded by the company that they can't afford.
You have to appreciate the clarity here. She just laid out, with public records, how a politician is taking campaign money from the exact company, jacking up everyone's bills. This is the swamp. It's not some shadowy conspiracy, it's a spreadsheet. Yet you have guys who will die on a hill defending this same politician because he says the right things about national issues. Look, your wallet doesn't care about the culture war. It cares about the fact that your local rep is owned by the utility company. Pay attention to the person taking your money, not the one distracting you with the shiny object.
Okay, so I'm a little pissed off here in Virginia. So I got my electric bill this month, and it has doubled. And I was like, wait, what? What happened? I didn't do anything different. So I started doing a little research and asking some of my friends, hey, did yours double? And they were like, oh, yeah, check this out. This guy's like, oh, yeah, mine's now $700 a month. This other person, yeah, mine went up 45%. The other people, they basically doubled. And so I'm like, wait, I didn't even know there was going to be a rate hike. So I did a little research, and sure enough, Virginia Power was like, hey, don't worry, there's going to be a rate hike, but don't worry, it's only going to be like $11 a family. And so I'm like, you lied. And then I was like, I wonder what this rate hike was for. So then I did a little more research, and they're like, oh, you know, we need new poles, and you know, labor costs have gone up, and so has fuel costs. Fuel costs have gone down. But the most alarming thing to me was they had mentioned that with all of the new data centers in Virginia, it basically drained the system and they need to upgrade it. So first of all, I want to ask who the frig is letting all these data centers in to drain the American public's wallets? And secondly, why are we forced to pay double an electric bill for these data centers that are here? And then I was like, gee, I wonder if Virginia Power is really hurting for money, that they needed to raise everyone's rate, not $11, but double. And so I did a little quick research, and guess what? Just in Q3 alone for 2025, guess how much they made? They made $1 billion net profit. So could somebody please friggin' tell me why this cost is always funneled down to the hardworking American taxpayer? This shit has got to stop. I am so tired of being a human. It should not be this expensive to live. And I don't know who makes these decisions, but it is reckless.
I just got my energy bill for the month. Dominion Energy out of Virginia. My bill has tripled. Like, I usually pay about $200, you know, on a regular, $300 on a high note. $621. That's more than my car payment. What the actual hell is going on?
Because something to me is just not making sense. Every single electric bill I'm getting is looking like this. This is how all my electric bills are looking. How is it humanly possible that I was using 1,500 and less kilowatts every single month in 2025, 2024, and 2023, but somehow I'm using 5,000 kilowatts of energy now in 5,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000 the last 4 months? Something doesn't make sense, bro. And every time I call Dominion Energy, they tell me that I'm tripping. I need somebody to help me understand how a human can use 5,000 kilowatts when I'm never home. Never home. I don't use TV. I don't use heat. I don't understand.
If you're from West Virginia like I am, I say we all follow each other because nobody can pay their power bill because Mon Power is screwing. They're raking our asses over the coals. So if we all follow each other and start making money on TikTok, maybe we can afford our power bills and buy groceries. I also owe, I'm not even going to tell you how much in West Virginia state tax. My paychecks weren't taking enough out, I don't guess, which at my old job, if you did payroll, no, I don't like you. Yeah, so anyways, between what I owe in taxes and the power bill, the wedding's canceled. No, it's not, but might as well be. That's Hamburger Helper, by the way, stain from the other night. But yeah, my West Virginia people, let's unite. If we all follow each other, Mon Power cannot kick us while we're down. Like, if you know, you know. They really jacked it up this winter, I'm telling you. All right, thanks for your support. Love you, bye.
If it keeps going up like this, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do because my wages aren't rising, but my bills keep rising.
Paige Shallow's winter power bills ranged from $350 to $400.
$362.98.
Now, even in warmer months, she's paying about $50 more than previous years.
Which is pretty significant. $50 a month is absolutely not nothing.
For a single mom of two, that $50 matters. Shallow says she does everything she can to conserve, but it's still high.
We've heard from so many people around Virginia that they're having real problems paying those bills. They're having to choose between paying their electric bill or another bag of groceries or what bills they're going to pay. So it was really important to look at, what's going on here.
That's what Clean Virginia Executive Director Brennan Gilmore says they wanted to find out. A new Clean Virginia report says Dominion energy bills are rising faster than inflation. The report points to four main causes: outdated regulatory framework, dependence on fossil fuels, tariffs, and the rollback of federal tax credits, but also the rapid growth in data centers.
Data centers use a tremendous amount of energy. Some of them, the largest ones, use as much as is produced by one nuclear plant, which is pretty crazy when you think about it.
But Dominion Energy disagrees. In a statement, a spokesperson said, quote, "This report is just factually wrong. For more than a decade, our residential rates have remained below the national average, and they've gone up substantially less than the rate of inflation." Dominion says it invested in reliability and clean energy to keep costs down. On data centers, the company said, quote, "We have also put in place some of the strongest protections in the country to prevent data center costs from being passed on to residential customers. Data centers are not the central driver in the increasing cost of energy. It's inflation for supplies and fuel." We know now there's new laws taking effect in Virginia aimed to shield customers from fuel spikes and prevent costs tied to data centers from hitting residents. For Shallow, who's just trying to keep the lights on, relief can't come soon enough.
I would love to see my bills not continually increasing. I would love to see all of these hardworking folks that I know not be squeezed absolutely to.
We love a great FAFO moment, and I have another one for you. First, some background. 65% of the state of Alabama voted for Donald Trump. Alabama is in the top 10 poorest states in the United States related to federal poverty level. While many of these voters sit behind their computers and celebrate Elon Musk cutting waste, little did they know it was going to impact them. This week, over 250 residents in Huntsville, Alabama received a notice from their electric company that they were going to have to pay an additional $100 surcharge. The explanation for this was that Donald Trump's recent executive order ended a $1 million grant to the utilities company to help these customers pay. for their electric bill. Leaders in Alabama are furious because they said this is counterintuitive to Donald Trump's promise to lower energy costs. Tots and Pam.
And there it is, the find out phase. You vote for the guy promising to slash government programs because you think it's all waste. Then you act shocked when a program that was literally helping you keep the lights on gets slashed. My dude, when they say they're cutting, they don't just mean programs for other people. Sometimes you are the other people. This is the consequence of voting for a soundbite instead of a policy.
I'm really so confused about something. I do not know how AEP in West Virginia is getting away with doing what they are doing to their customers. My bill has been nothing compared to the other people I've talked to. Literally $1,000 or over dollars for a bill for 1 month. My bill was almost $500 last month. This month, it was literally more than last month because who knows why? But I know for a fact when I got my bill last month, I made sure to turn off heaters, to turn off everything to make sure my bill was less than it was. And it ended up being more. It's literally not fair that they hike their prices up when the weather is cold. Because I know I used less this month than last month. And I'm going to be absolutely so mad if it's higher this month because we have literally cut down so much, like we're being cost effective, covering up if we're warm, like trying to do our best to keep the bill down. And I have a feeling it's going to be high, just as high as it was last month. And how? AEP, if you hear this, let me know how this works because it's not fair. It's not fair. West Virginia is one of the poorest states in the United States, and you're literally hitting us over the head. We're barely getting by now, and then you want to smack us in the face with a bill so high. If I don't have high blood pressure issues, I got them now because of AEP. My other bills aren't bad, but then my electric bill is higher than my car payment, and that's not okay. Especially when I'm making sure to turn lights off to be very smart when it comes to the electric. I know there's plenty of y'all out there. I live in Huntington. I know there's plenty of people out there. And let me know in the comments how the electric company is affecting you because it's not okay. Like, I wish there was something we could do. I really, really do. Because it's not fair. It is not fair for us to work our butts off and have to fork it right over when we're not using that much electric. We're not. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, rant over. Y'all let me know what you think because this is crazy.
West Virginia, how many times does the Republican Party have to do the opposite of what you need or want before you realize the GOP is not for me? We literally have a president in office that promised lower utility costs, yet you know your utility costs are skyrocketing. We have a Mr. No New War president, sure enough, started a new war. And guess what? Your fuel prices are skyrocketing now, too. And the Republican legislature in West Virginia made sure that they defeated a bill that was intended to prevent child abuse. The Speaker of the House of Delegates in West Virginia is bought and paid for by data centers, the same data centers that no one wants. Where are the rallies in support of the data centers? I'm curious, genuinely curious. Comment below. Tell me if you are a West Virginia red hat Republican and you are happy right now with higher gas prices, support for child abusers in our legislature, the new war that is causing our gas prices to skyrocket, and the legislature selling out to these data centers that no one wants. Is that what you want? Truthfully, are you happy with that?
This is for people based in Wisconsin. I need to know, what was your We Energies bill last month? Because ours, for a small 3-bedroom, 1-bath, I think we have like 1,500 square feet, was $338. My brother-in-law has another property that was not even, 700 feet, you said? Yep. 700 square feet. $371. For a unit that is vacant, $420.
Hi.
So,
Vacant, yep.
What is going on? I remember my mom complaining about this last year at this time too. So, and I know it's the gas, but the 700 square foot unit doesn't use gas. And why is the November, December-ish bill so expensive? Like, is everyone else's this bad? Can someone explain? Are we being scammed? I need answers.
So I need recommendations for attorneys, I guess.
I live in southern West Virginia in a little town called Dainese. It's in Fett County. I've been going round and round with Appalachian Power for a couple years now for extremely high electricity bills. They have a monopoly here, so you pay it or you don't have power. I tag them on Facebook literally like every month when I get my bill. They swear nothing's wrong. We updated our house completely, 100%, even outside and inside electrical. Had to pass an inspection. Well, we bought another house last month, and one of the cells on it was the way lower power bills. Like, I'm talking like 150 to like 380, and I'm like, heck yeah. Well, they made me pay $143 security deposit. After I paid that, it was like, oh, well, you owe an old bill of like 300 and some. And okay, so I have to pay that. It was like $509 altogether. Well, then I get a bill. It's like for $148, and I thought that was like the first month's electricity. Until I get another bill in the mail, and it was $1,145. I was like, what the shit? Like, nobody lives there. We've had so much snow and ice, like, I haven't been able to move. So I call, and I even called the Public Service Commission, and they were like, oh, well, you know, maybe something's broke, blah, 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 blah. Like, literally no help at all. Not to mention this house that we currently live in, I just got a bill of $919. So I contacted my bank and asked them to go back as far as they could for my Appalachian Power payments. They were only able to go back to February of 2024. They said if I wanted them to go back further, it was like $25 an hour, which is crazy. It's City National Bank of West Virginia, by the way, which is crazy to me. But so since February of 24, and it is just turned March of 26, I have paid $12,257.92. Not to mention the $1,145 and then the $919. That's a total of $2,060.68. So by the time I pay that, we're going to be at $14,318.20. I can't do it. Like, this is crazy. And what are the odds of me buying two extremely unenergy efficient houses? Like, there's no way. There's no way. And they're no help. I'm at a loss. Thank the Lord. My husband has a really good paying job, but it's still like there's no sense in this. We can't do it. This is more than my vehicle payment and house payment together. Like, it is insane. I'm drowning here. And I really need help. And Appalachian Power, if you're watching this, suck a big bag of dicks.
Your electric bill isn't high because you used the oven and turned the heat higher than 55 degrees, okay? What's going on with your electric bill started a long time ago when coal was king. If you haven't heard, the CEO of Appalachian Power Company receives about $36.6 million in total compensation. At the same time, consumers like you and me are facing double-digit rate increases in parts of Appalachia. If those disparities sound crazy, it's because both of those things come out of the same system that has shaped our region for over a century. Consumers like you and me, we're not just facing high energy costs randomly. It's something that has been built into the structure of Appalachia since the beginning of the early 1900s, when coal from these mountains were used to power the entire country that was rapidly industrializing. And electric companies were given control over entire territories of Appalachia and bring electricity to people, period. Like, the government had to do all of these incentives to make them come here because they didn't want to come here to begin with because they didn't think it was profit.
This woman deserves a goddamn professorship. She's explaining that this entire mess isn't an accident. It's a century-old design. The government gave these companies a monopoly, a license to print money because it was the only way to get electricity to rural areas. But the side effect is a system where the CEO can make $36 million while grandmas choose between insulin and heat. The problem isn't some new age energy policy. It's the ancient, creaky, greedy system that was never designed with the customer's best interest at heart. She's handing you the blueprint to the trap you're in, and too many guys would rather blame a windmill. It's insane.
One company controls the grid of their area, the infrastructure, the customer base, and in exchange, they were regulated by the government rather than allowed to compete against one another. It was originally supposed to be a stable system until you realize if prices go up and become unaffordable, then customers have no place to go. They have to stay with their power.
Captive customers, let that sink in. It's a sterile corporate term for being a hostage. There's a deep irony in men who champion the free market finding themselves in the least free market imaginable. You can't vote with your dollar. You can't shop around. You can't choose a competitor because there are no competitors. You are literally forced to fund a company you hate, a company that is actively making your life harder. This isn't capitalism. This is a protection racket, and you're paying for the protection of having lights on.
Power company. What you see happening now in Appalachia is there is an aging infrastructure. We need to start questioning whether or not the system that started in the early 1900s is even economical anymore. The costs don't stay contained at the company level. They move downward to consumers like you and me through our monthly bills, especially in rural areas where incomes are lower and alternatives don't exist. At the same time, executive compensation is tied to the financial performance of the company, meaning that rate increases, infrastructure spending, and profitability are all part of the same decision-making environment, so that CEOs get to make even more money. Historically, Appalachia powered everybody else. Appalachian coal helped to build this nation, but that same power structure that is here, it's never really changed with the times. When your electric bill goes up, it's not about how much you're using. It's not about inflation. It's about a system that still determines who pays, how much they pay, and who has the ability to do anything about it. And we as consumers are in a powerless position because we have no choices.
My issue was more the energy. I've been paying $2,100 since I first opened up. In the last 7 months, it shot up to $15,000. What?
Electric companies are considered regulated monopolies because the high cost of building them and infrastructure, putting up poles, building plants, putting up lines, all that stuff, it makes it inefficient for there to be competition. This means there's usually just one electric provider in an area. If you live in Virginia like me, you probably think that your electric bill is insane. And it probably is, because the electric companies here have a monopoly. This area you have Appalachian Power, and other areas you have Old Dominion. You can't shop around, there's no choices, you are stuck with the power company of your area. We are what is called captive customers. Captive customers, basically, we have no choices, there's no alternatives. We are forced to pay for these services no matter what, even though we hate them and are very dissatisfied. Now, technically, the government is supposed to regulate these entities with the Virginia State Corporation Commission, the Virginia SCC. Idea with that is that regulators approve rates to make sure that the electric companies are not overcharging people. But this is where...
This right here is the moment the Matrix glitches. She's explaining regulatory capture without using the fancy term. The government is supposed to be the referee between you and the monopoly. But what happens when the monopoly buys the referee a new car and pays for his kid's college? The very guys who scream government is the problem fail to see that a weak, underfunded, easily corrupted government is a corporation's greatest weapon. It creates a power vacuum that only money can fill, and buddy, you don't have enough money to compete.
It gets complicated. Utilities in the United States operate under a cost of service model. The company builds infrastructure, they build plants, they put up lines, they build power grids, and they pass on the costs of building that infrastructure to their customers. But the utility company, they're also allowed to earn a percentage of profits from the infrastructure that they build. The more infrastructure that they build, the more they're allowed to charge their customers to recoup the money for that infrastructure. Very old system that was designed like in the early 1900s. Most of Appalachia didn't have electricity. They created this model to help electricity spread to the more rural parts of Appalachia. But it is 2026. Historically, the system worked. Appalachia got power all over the place in the most rural areas. But today, it creates a very strange situation. Customers can't leave. The electric company earns profits based on building infrastructure. And regulators have to balance corporate investments and affordability for customers. So if you live in Appalachia and you think the electric bills are too high, you're not wrong. It's because of how this system works. Follow along because I can talk to you more about the electric companies in Appalachia and how they work.
This is the biggest scam of all, and she nailed it. The utilities' profit is tied directly to how much they spend, not how much they save. They have a financial incentive to build the most expensive, over-engineered projects possible, because they get a guaranteed return on that investment, a cost they pass directly to you. There is zero incentive for them to be efficient or innovative. The system literally rewards waste. For all the guys who pride themselves on being fiscally conservative, this model should make your blood boil. It's a state-sanctioned fleecing, plain and simple.
An almost entirely rural state, it's just 7%. Now, the 7 factories that the West Virginia Department of Economic Development touts as top manufacturing-related businesses paint a picture as to why the sector struggles. Rubber Light is in downtown Huntington, a city that developed across the naturally flat banks of the Ohio River. Kingsford Charcoal is in a more rural area, but along the also naturally flat banks of the North Branch of the Potomac River. Mylan, Covestro, and Fiesta Tableware 2 are located in near identical riverside spots. The only of these 7 not in a similar situation are American Woodmark and Procter & Gamble, but they're both in the atypically flat eastern portion of the state. Rather universally, manufacturers are not building factories on hillsides, and most of the elusive flat spots are already developed. The appeal of locating manufacturing in rural areas is the ability to achieve lower costs through cheap labor and cheap land, but West Virginia lacks the second part of that equation. Rather than spending to develop a site where it's tough or paying the premium for already prepared spots, manufacturers can just go quite literally.
Here's a dose of hard reality that no political rally will ever give you. You can't build a factory on a cliffside. The promise of bringing manufacturing back runs headfirst into the unchangeable wall of geography. This isn't a failure of will or patriotism, it's a failure of physics. An economic plan for a region has to be based on the actual strengths and weaknesses of that region, not on a slogan that worked somewhere else 50 years ago. You can't fix a problem until you're willing to look at the real, boring, logistical reasons the problem exists in the first place.
Anywhere else. Now, the weakness of the second largest rural economic sector is a problem in and of itself, but its effects are disproportionate. That's because average wages from the first and third largest rural economic sectors are dramatically lower than those of manufacturing. This sector, at least on average, is a key source of higher pay middle-class jobs in rural America. West Virginia, meanwhile, has to deal more with the lower income sectors. Of course, another major rural economic sector is agriculture, and agriculture has long been a key part of West Virginia's economy, but the landscape that's been there for millennia is presenting new challenges for the sector. The state's geography is convoluted, but remarkably predictable. Whereas out west one tends to see massive mountains with...
So, what's the takeaway? The system isn't just broken, it was built this way. We saw people wrestling with the consequences of a century of corporate capture and political neglect. The women in this video handed out a PhD level course on the problem. But the real test is what happens next. Do people use that knowledge to demand real change, or do they just find a new person to blame? What's the most you've ever felt screwed over by a big company? Drop it in the comments, like, share, subscribe.